Hi, it is me. I am alive. Hi, it is the end of January. I have not seen you since the end of December, and I apologize. Things just got really busy between work, family things that were going on in January, and I just didn't have the time to record. So I kind of gave myself the month off to deal with things I needed to deal with. But we're back, and I might not have had time to record, but I did have time to read. My reading goal again is 150 books. That's usually kind of I'm either read like 2 books over or I'm 3 books behind by the end of the year. I think right now I'm like 2 books ahead. Doing my best to be back on a normal schedule now that things have calmed down. We're just gonna talk about my January reads. So yeah, first book that I read this month was the 8th book in the Zodiac Academy series. It's Sorrow and Starlight. I ended up 3-starring it. Zodiac Academy, I would say the first 5 books were good, and like 6, 7, 8 are still good, but it's getting to the point where like, okay, when are you gonna end this series? Every time that the authors announce a new book, they're like, oh, this is the last book, and then they're like, psych, never mind, we're actually gonna make another one. As much as I love this series, it's almost getting to the point where it's like, what is the plot again? What are we doing? Why everything is just dragging on, and it's like every book is like they try and do a bigger cliffhanger than what they did before. So it's just like boom, 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 and it's book number 8 came out probably close to a year ago. I think 9 is coming out soon, and it just took me that long to read it, and I finally did, and like, it was okay. Zodiac Academy is a whole thing. Zodiac Academy starts off as a bully romance. That's like the first 2 books, and then it kind of turns into just a romantasy. It has age gap romance, it has like enemies to lovers, it has fated mates. It is like Harry Potter, but like all the houses are zodiaced. But you also have the magical powers of like water-bending Avatar and shape-shifting. So there is dragons and werewolves and vampires and all that. Pretty much all of the big tropes smushed into one, and like, it's good, kind of dragging on, and I'm ready for the series to be over. So yeah, I read book number 8. I think they're planning on 9 and 10. So yeah, I guess we'll see what happens with that, but I've read it and I 3-starred it. I then read a book that's been on my TBR for a while, She Started It by Cyan Gilbert. It follows a main like friend group from high school, and like they've gotten older and lived their own lives and they don't really talk anymore, but they all get invited to I think it was a bachelorette party, it's a bachelorette party of girls in their school named Poppy, and they get like flown out to this extravagant bachelorette party where things start to get uncovered and things go wrong. So it's this estranged friend group coming together on what is supposed to be a cool trip. I like 3-starred this. I think it was good. It wasn't the best thriller I've ever read. It wasn't the worst. It's fairly short, so it is something where some things feel rushed and not as like established as I would have liked them to be. There's a cat hair in my eyeball. I can feel it. But it was pretty good, and yeah, it was an okay thriller. Another 3-star book that I read was The Girl's Guide to Hunting and Fishing. I did annotate some of this and like highlighted some stuff that I liked. This was kind of an out of a comfort zone book for me. It is still fiction, but it's more of like a coming to age type story. It's very much Everything I Know About Love by Dolly Alderton, which I'll bring up again in a minute because I read another Dolly Alderton book, but it's very like, it's not a memoir, like it's fake characters, fake scenarios, but it feels like a memoir. Like, it's very much a coming of age story. I think it just depends on with books like this if you can really super relate to the topics, and like I can relate to topics here and there, but there were some times where I was just like, this is dragging on and I don't relate to this section, therefore I don't care that much. But follows our main character, Jane, and it's kind of just her coming to age as she learns about like love and relationships and family issues, and yeah, I don't know. It was a book. I read it. I then read a book that I've been interested in for a while. I read Jade City by Fonda Lee. I think I 3.5 or 4-starred this. It is fantasy, but it's not romantasy fantasy. It's just like fantasy. And the main character is a guy. I don't really read that many like books where the main character is a man. Not always super my vibe. It almost feels like a futuristic city, but it's fantasy. Greenbone warriors, and they have like Jade is magical, so Jade is like a super high form of currency. And there is war coming, so it's like 4 siblings preparing for war, and like it was pretty cool, but I would have loved some romance in it. Would have liked it a lot better if there was romance in it, and there wasn't, but it was still good. There is a second book, Jade War. I might read it eventually, but it's not necessarily on the top of my next to read list. I then read The Long Game by Elena Armas. I 3-starred this. This is a sports romance. It is a retired soccer player is coaching like a small town girls soccer league, and our main character is the daughter of a man that owns one of the most popular soccer teams in the country. She gets into like a PR issue, some bad press, so he sends her to this small town to help coach this small team, and it's an enemies to lovers, like grumpy sunshine between her and retired soccer guy. It wasn't my favorite sports romance. I feel like this man was not the best book boyfriend I've read. He was just British, and that was it. Like, he just called her like love and darling sometimes, and he could have done more with him than what she did. But yeah, I read it. It was cute. Kind of the same energy going into my next book, the Fake Mate. This is a contemporary romance, but they're werewolves. I have never been a vampire werewolf person. I never really, like, I've watched the Twilight movies. I've never read the Twilight books. I was thinking of doing a vlog of that sometime, actually reading the Twilight books for the first time. I never had a Twilight era. Like, Twilight was full force when I was in school. Like, some of my best friends were like hardcore Twilight, and I just never really got into it. And even now, I'm not big into vampires, werewolves types books, so I wasn't expecting myself to like this very much. It is grumpy sunshine fake dating. The main love interest, her mom keeps trying to set her up on dates, so she convinces her mom that she's dating her coworker, and boo, they're both werewolves. So for me, not expecting to like it, I at least finished it. I didn't like DNF it and hate it, but it wasn't my favorite thing. And going back to what I mentioned earlier with Dolly Alderton, she came out with a new book called Ghosts. She again wrote Everything I Know About Love. I think I liked Everything I Know About Love a little bit better than this one. Again, these are both kind of like coming of age stories, like they could be memoirs, but like they aren't. The main character like meets this guy, goes on a date with him, she ghosts him, and that's putting her through this whole like spiral of having to deal with all the issues in her life that she's been ignoring. So I mean, like, it's deep. It's fiction, but like it's not fun fiction necessarily. I do think I liked Everything I Know About Love better than this, but I still like 3-starred it, and like it's got a cute cover. So, cover points. Another kind of random read, I read Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. I like 3.5 to this one, I think. This I mainly just bought for the cover. It just aesthetically fits my apartment. My apartment is very kind of like vintagey, cottagecore, renaissance-y decorated. And this just like kind of looks good as a coffee book. I did read it. And it wasn't my favorite thing. It wasn't necessarily what I was expecting. It's written as like journal. It's like written like a diary. Like everything, instead of like chapters, it's like the 30th of October. It's like a researcher who is researching Fae, and this is her personal diary. So it wasn't necessarily what I was expecting from it. I thought it was going to be like you're following a girl that gets trapped in fairyland, like an Acatar situation, but it wasn't. I still liked it. She came out with another book. It's like Emily Wilde's Guide to the Other World or something. I might pick it up, but again, it's not necessarily something that's on the top of my reading list. I then read a really cute YA romantasy. I read A Fragile Enchantment by Alison Saff. This was so cute. I think I again 3.5 to this one. It is YA. It is not smutty in any way. The cover of this book is so cute. And like the inside cover pages. This book is just gorgeous. This is in Enemies to Lovers. This follows how I was pronouncing it in my head is Niam. The main character's name is spelled Niamh. Niam. Guarantee I'm not pronouncing that correctly, and I apologize. She is hired to be a tailor for the royal courts. She has magic, and like all of the clothes that she makes are magically woven with something where it's like, oh, if you wear this, everyone thinks you're pretty. If you wear this, like, you can be invisible. Like, she just has like magical clothness. She gets hired to be the tailor for the princes. The prince and her love interest Kit is supposed to be getting married to somebody else, and they have a little enemies to lovers relationship together. It's pretty cute, and like for what it was, I enjoyed it. Am I the biggest YA fan, not always, but like this one was good. And yeah, glad I read it. It was cute. It was fun. It was a quick, easy read. And then last but not least, I am starting my yearly reread of Acatar, which is also kind of live. I usually do a yearly reread of Court of Mist and Fury. I haven't sat down and like reread all of Acatar since I read it for the first time in like 2020. Literally just kind of read Mist and Fury and then not again. Yeah, so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna reread Acatar start to finish. I read Court of Silver Flames when it came out, and I could not tell you a damn thing that happened in that book now. I just know that it's spicy Nesta and Cassian. So I want to sit down and reread all of these to refresh my memory. So yeah, I finished this. It's still like a 4.5 for me. It's still not a 5-star, but it's a 4.5, and I still love it as much as I did when I read it for the first time. Also, hey, hi. Editing Alley here. I also realized I completely forgot to mention 2 whole books because I didn't put them in my pile of books to talk about, but they're not actually that important, so whatever, but I still want to include them. I did read also 2 more Avatar books. I read the Way of Water Visual Dictionary. Last month I read the World of Avatar Visual Exploration. This month, hi Addie. This month I read the Way of Water Visual Dictionary and the Avatar, oh, hello. Hi. Say hello to the people, they missed you. Don't fall on my pants, please. But I also read the official Avatar cookbook, and am I counting them because I read them? Yes. Are they actual, like, books? No, but, like, the visual dictionary things, like, they are, like, straight up books, like sci-fi books. And if I read a cookbook front to back, I've read the cookbook. Because cookbooks have like little blurbs like, here's why we think this, like I count reading an entire cookbook front to back as reading. So I counted that. And when I looked them up, they were on Goodreads. If they're on Goodreads, they count, okay? I don't know why I'm proving myself to you. I don't think any of you care that much. But the other 2 books I read this month were another Avatar visual dictionary and an Avatar cookbook, okay? Goodbye. Yeah, here are all the books that I read in January. Like I said, I plan to be back on my normal weekly schedule. I missed you guys. I missed hanging out and doing this and nagging people about my book. I did have planned like a whole month of videos for January. I was gonna do the typical like, oh, my top 23 books of 2023, rating all the books. So if you guys want me to still do those, still do like the my top 20, like all of the normal booktube 2023 wrap-up things, let me know and I will do them. But if you'd rather me just move on because that's all the book content has been for the past month, is like, oh, here's all my favorites for 2023, then I'll just skip them and just go to what I had planned for February. If you have a preference, let me know. If you don't care, either way, let me know. I'm gonna go because I have the new Crescent City book downloaded on my Kindle. As I'm recording this, it came out today, and I'm gonna start reading it because my physical one I pre-ordered from Walmart so that I could have the extra chapter that has like Azrael and them in it, and it hasn't even shipped yet. So I got it on Kindle, and I also have it on audiobook. So I'm gonna start either reading and or listening to that, and I'm gonna go. I will see you guys next week for my normal content. Thank you for being patient and sticking around for this month. I love and appreciate you so much. If you want to follow me anywhere, all my social media is linked down below. I would say I would keep updated on my Instagram, but that is a lie because I also haven't posted until now either. But yeah, all my stuff is down below where it's always been, and you can check it out if you feel like it. Okay? Okay. I love you, and I will see you later. Goodbye.